Hey there, everybody. Mr. Lewis here, ready to go through another section of Unit 9 in AP HuG today as we continue our exploration of cities around the world. Today, specifically looking at the size and distribution of cities in Section 4. Today, we're going to learn about central place theory, the rank size rule, primate cities, and we'll even get into the theory of gravity a little bit. But first, primate cities. A primate city exists when the largest city in a country is at least twice as populated as the next largest city in that country. And this makes that primate city really significant, not just economically, but politically, culturally, and environmentally. Some examples of primate cities around the world today are places like Mexico City, Mexico, Bangkok, Thailand, and Seoul, South Korea. Now, another scope through which we can look at the sizes and rankings of cities in a country is through the rank size rule. The rank size rule says the following. After the largest city in that country, the second largest city will have about one half of the population of the largest city. The third largest city will have about one third of the population of the largest city. The fourth largest city will have about 1/4 of the population of the largest city, and so on and so forth. Now, in the United States, this pattern doesn't really hold up. You can see here, New York City is the largest metro area in terms of population in the country, with just under 20 million. But LA, which is the second largest city in the country, has about 13 million. So well over half of New York's population. Chicago, which according to the rank size rule should have about 1/3 of the population of New York City, actually has about one half. So the rank size rule doesn't really play out like it's supposed to in the United States. In Germany, however, it does. The largest city in Germany is Berlin, with about 3.5 million people. The second largest city is Hamburg, and as you can see from this diagram, Hamburg's population is about one half of Berlin's. Munich is the third largest city, and its population is about 1/3 of Berlin's. Cologne's is about 1/4. Frankfurt's is about 1/5. So the rank size rule actually does hold water in Germany. Now, the gravity model isn't so concerned with population as much as it is interaction between cities. Now, population is taken into account here because what the gravity model says is that interaction between two cities will increase with increased population, and interaction between two cities will decrease with increased distance. In other words, the larger two cities are and the closer together they are, the more interaction people in those two cities are going to have with one another. So in the model at the bottom of this slide, you can see there are three cities. We got the green city, which is the largest, the yellow city, which is the second largest, and the blue city, which is the smallest. The green city and the blue city have a high level of interaction because they're close together. Distance between them is low. On the other hand, the green city and the yellow city have a high level of interaction because each of them has a pretty large population. Finally, the blue city and the yellow city have a pretty low level of interaction because their populations are a little bit lower and they're kind of far apart. So the gravity model is a way to predict the interaction between two different cities. The central place theory is a way to predict behavior, specifically economic behavior, within an urban setting. And the central place theory attempts to identify the most profitable locations for business, for services. And that central place becomes economically crucial to an urban setting. It's a very lucrative area in which businesses can attract customers. Now, there are two key factors within central place theory that leads to the success or failure of a business. One is what we call range. This refers to how far people are willing to go to get that particular product. And it depends both on the consumer and the product itself. For example, if you're looking to watch an NFL game in person, well, there aren't too many National Football League games in Crown Point, Indiana. You'd have to travel to either Chicago or Indianapolis to go watch an NFL game. On the other hand, you wouldn't have to go that far to fill up your gas tank in your car. So, range depends entirely on not only your willingness as a consumer to actually go buy that thing, but also what your options are as a consumer based on where you live. On the other hand, threshold refers to the number of people needed to keep that business alive, the number of customers required to keep that business afloat. And if there aren't enough interested customers, if the population is just too low, for example, then we're not going to reach that threshold necessary to keep the business alive and thriving. Here's a demonstration of range and threshold within this central place theory. This outer circle is where demand becomes zero because the range is just too far. Between this outer circle and the central place, this blue dot here, represents the range that people are willing to travel. So these are all of the potential customers. And then this inner circle represents the threshold needed to keep that business alive. And between these two factors, it's up to the business themselves to find the most lucrative place, to find the sweet spot, so to speak, between range and threshold, or in other words, the central place. Now, malls used to serve as a great example of central place theory, but because of the development of e-commerce companies such as Amazon and online shopping in general, that has completely changed consumers' behaviors when it comes to range. People are much less willing to travel to go buy something if they know that they can just find it online and have it delivered to their doorstep. So what I'm going to ask you to do today is to go into Buzz and watch the video that's linked in the activity about the rise and fall of the American mall. And while you're watching that video, please answer the 5 questions that go with it in that Buzz activity. You have unlimited attempts, and you can go back and rewind that video and watch it again in case you miss any of those answers. So take it as many times as you need to get 100% and earn those 10 out of 10 points and wrap up with section 9.4. Tomorrow, we'll be moving into section 9.5, the internal structure of cities. Thank you as always for tuning in today to learn a little bit more about urban geography, and we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow. All right, have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.